Hello, welcome back to Oliver's greenhouse. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm in my pyjamas, which means I've actually got some time to make a little bit of content. I know the content's been a little bit sort of light on the ground recently because I've been super busy. The build up to Christmas means just taking every possible opportunity to make some extra cash on the side. So I've even dusted off the old climbing kit for the last couple of weekends, and I've been out climbing trees with my chainsaw and helping friends out for some cash. That isn't product placement, by the way. So I've got some spare time tonight. No massive agenda on this video. What I thought we could do is have a good look at the rescue orchids. We'll do an update on those because I haven't done anything on those guys in, well, I don't know, a good few months. And some have done really, really well. Some have done sort of mediocre, really. So I thought we could have a little look at that. I've also got, I'm sick of buying stuff on eBay as well. Plants, orchids, carnivorous plants on eBay, it's just an absolute no-no. So unless you know the eBay seller, either personally you already have a sort of, not working, but sort of a relationship with them, I just avoid them like the plague. I'm absolutely sick of it. So I bought another plant earlier on this week. It was one that I'd actually killed in the past. So I was like, you know, let's give it another go and see how we got on, see if we can manage to keep it alive for more than a few months this time round. Anyway, the plant turned up, not happy at all. It's miserable. I mean, I take such pride in the plants that I grow, and I sell a punitive number on eBay. I really, really do. It's not even enough to really, it's certainly not enough to fund the greenhouse through winter, put it that way, but I really, I think, you know, if you're going to do something, do it right. I'd be embarrassed to have someone, you know, not happy with a plant that I'd sent them or swapped them, or, you know, or they especially one they actually paid for. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of people out there who are just absolute charlatans. They're just like, you know what, here's a crap sandwich. I'll just sell you that. There we go. Merry Christmas. And it's just not acceptable. So lesson learned. Once bitten, twice shy. This is more like sort of like third time bitten. I don't know. Anyway, we're not doing any more of that. So it's blooming freezing outside. It's like last weekend it was -2. I was working all day, -2. Absolutely frozen. Every single one of those past injuries from the last 17 years of tree work comes back to haunt me. So I'm sort of limping around with a bad hip. My back's in pieces. But we've earned some extra cash, so the kids are going to get Christmas presents this year, and that's really all that matters. So we'll go out into the dark, cold abyss, which is the back garden at the moment. You can't really see that. That's just your right at the moment. You guys are by the back door to the patio. We'll go out there into the greenhouse, have a quick look at what's out there. I'll pick up the plants. I've got a light. I've borrowed an LED floodlight from work, which I think is going to make... I've not used it yet, so I haven't filmed out in the greenhouse with it. It's really bright, although it's probably going to cast some sort of like weird, eerie, ghastly sort of shadow across my face. So I'll try and position it so it doesn't look too weird. So I've got that, because we haven't got any lights in the greenhouse yet. That is still a project for the summer. I will be putting some lights. That's no point buying them now. All the bubble wraps up. It'd just be a nightmare installing it and taking all that lot down. So I will eventually do that, because the aim is to be able to actually film in the greenhouse, because I don't have to disturb my wife who's watching television in the other room. And it also means that people can use this area of the house. So I'll pick you guys up, grab the gin and tonic, and we'll have a wander out to the greenhouse. Right, here we are out in the greenhouse. I can't believe you can actually see anything at the moment, to be honest. That's actually just my floodlight. I've got a security light in the back garden, which is on a sensor, so hopefully it sort of deters the scallywags away from attacking my greenhouse. This is the light I've got, so we go ahead and turn that on now. There we go. Boom! There, oh my God, it's like looking at the sun. It's pretty bright. I need to position it somewhere where you're going to be able to see me, and it's not going to look too weird. Let's move a couple of plants out of the way. So, right. Oh my God, my eyes. Let's get it positioned. This is what you come here for. This is the air of professionalism. I know. Right, there we go. So that's the light on, which means I basically can't see you, but hopefully you guys can see me. So I've had hardly any time out in the greenhouse recently. I've just been working. It's been super busy. I've basically come out in the evenings to just make sure everything's getting a water, but that's basically it. So I've had a few surprises actually. There's a few things which are in flower or are going to be in flower very, very soon, which I'm really excited about, which I just totally haven't noticed. There is definitely a benefit from not coming in here too often, because you do come in, you're like, oh wow, look, everything's grown, or something's in flower, which is really, really cool. One major downside is I've had an aphid outbreak. Oh yes. Fantastic. This close to Christmas as well. What an absolute treat. When the greenhouse is in its most sealed, insular state, I've had a bloody aphid outbreak. So I come in here this morning, noticed a few little blighters around on some of the sundews. They don't really go near the orchids. They'll have a go at a flower spike if one's emerging, but they basically just leave them alone. They're not that fussed on those, but they love the nice fleshy, vascular, easy to eat sundews, which is a real pain because what it does, it really deforms their growth. So each of the new growth, whether it would be a leaf or for some of them the stem forming, they're all sort of like mutated in crinkles and they just look dreadful. So the entire greenhouse stinks of neem because I got a nice big 500ml bottle of cold pressed neem the other day because I ran out of my little bottle. So I've given that a good mix up. It's had 2 treatments so far inside of 2 weeks, and it's probably going to get another dousing again this weekend. So the whole place just smells really strangely of just, it's somewhere between raw and cooked onions, but hopefully that's going to bring it under control. Like I said, I haven't seen any more over on my sundews, which are over here behind the cephalotus, but I have noticed them on my Darlingtonia seedlings, which are over here. This is going to go a bit off track, but we might as well just go over and have a little look. And hopefully you guys remember when I repotted them. The amount of growth they've put on since then is astronomical. You probably won't recognise them. Some that I treated with neem before I repotted them sulked a little bit and they're like, I'm not very happy, but they're sort of coming back now, putting on a bit of a show. The ones that I didn't treat look really, really good. And some of the pictures are like, woo, like this big now. So what I'll do is I'll pan you over, I'll grab the sun over here and we can have a quick look at them. Unfortunately, the LED does tend to sort of bleach the colour out of everything. So what I'll do is if I hold this up here, get ready for some extreme camera work. Okay, so hopefully, if I pan you down, there you go, you guys are centre a shot there. I'm just going to zoom you in. I can't remember how to zoom. Hang on, I'll just use the wheel at the front. There we go. So all of those big green pictures, they're brand new. So these have arisen since repotting. So this is probably in reaction to some fresh media. I mean, there's more nutrients in there. So, but the ones on the right, these ones over here, which have this sort of reddy coloration, seem a little bit out of focus there. Hang on a minute. I don't know. Anyway, so these ones I sprayed beforehand, and these guys kind of sulked a little bit. They haven't put on such prolific growth like the others. They've gone this sort of red colour. I'm not sure whether the sun sort of bleached them a little bit. But on some of the new growth, I found aphids, so they got a good nuking with the neem oil, and hopefully that will kill that off. For an example, I'll show you. Do you remember my lovely Drosera Adelaide? In fact, there's probably an aphid on here, I expect, if we look carefully. So I'll show you what aphid damage on a sundew looks like. Look at how distorted that growth is. It's all wrinkly, curly, it hasn't got much dew on it. It just looks sad. Sad pants, I'm afraid. So this guy's been nuked with some neem, which also makes it go sad because it's like I'm covered in oil and that's not nice. So it's a bit whingy at the moment. What I'll do is I'll probably take it out, wash it off, because aphids are really crap at staying, should I say, really rubbish at staying on stuff. So if you just spray them off, just knock them off the plant with water, 9 times out of 10 they don't actually make their way back to it. So unpot it, wash it off, give it a good scrub, well not a good scrub, give everything a good wipe off, make sure you dislodge any aphids that are there, and you can pretty much knock out a whole infestation. But I've nuked it with neem and hopefully that's going to do the trick. But sad times, because that was an impressive plant. Right, Oliver, back on track. Anyway, I'll go and get the rescue orchids because they're all over here. There we go. They're all over the back. In fact, some are underneath the benches. So I'll go and get those and we'll have a look at them. Okay, so hopefully you can see me and the plants as well. These are the 2 rescue orchids which have featured quite heavily in my previous videos, which were about rescuing orchids. So these guys, some of you know, I got these for £1 each. So this is £2 for these orchids in total. What a grand sum that was. And they have been in the greenhouse now well over, I'd imagine they're approaching 6 months now. So they came in a terrible state. I repotted them and have basically been just keeping an eye on them and looking after them, feeding them. And I've had sort of mixed success really. So this was the no ID Oncidium, and it's got 2 growths down here, which 2 new growths which have emerged as a result of the repotting, and since it's been in my care. They're in a mixture of medium fir bark and with a nice thick top dressing, like 2 inches of pure sphagnum moss. And this was really rickety in here. It was sort of wobbling around. That's why these stakes are in here, just to stop it from flopping all over the place. That's become a lot more secure in there since that. So I'm going to attribute that to root growth, which would also correspond with, get rid of some of these sheaves, they look a bit unsightly. I've basically been very careful with this one because this guy hasn't been doing very well. If we move this one out of the way here. So this guy hasn't been doing particularly well. It's kind of been a bit sulky. It's been a lot slower to recover than the other one, but it's got these 2 nice growths here. And they are slowly but surely coming along and maturing. So I have high hopes for this guy. But like I said, just been treating it with a little bit of caution because for a little while it was a bit touch and go. It kind of went into sort of like orchid stasis, but it wasn't really doing anything. It was just sort of limping along without really putting on any new growth. So that's that guy there. The real success story though is the no ID Brassia hybrid. This guy here, who has come on great guns. When I first got it, it was like this shriveled pseudo bulb and this mangy leaf and this thing here, and they still look a bit mangy. It's got a few weird sort of spots on it. All the new growth looks a lot better though. Still got a few little spots. I don't think it's virus. It doesn't look like virus to me. It just spots. Don't really get too panicky about that, but it's growing great guns and it's produced, I don't know, hopefully you can see those, 2 new flower spikes which are extending up this way here. This one kind of got munched by a slug a little bit. There's another growth, another flower spike coming out down here I can see as well. So it's going to have 3 new flower spikes on it. So hopefully we'll be able to at least ID it and get some idea of what it actually is. What I'll do is I'll grab you, move you a bit closer, and we can have a little bit of a closer look because the new light really makes the lighting a lot better in here. Okay, so here's our Brassia. Unfortunately, the growth of the flower spikes are really sort of pointed towards you. There's one here, quite long. I mean, it's probably over a foot. It's probably about 1.5 feet, that one there. And this is the one that got kind of munched by slugs. This one in front of you here. But overall, I mean, the orchid's looking loads better. It's really nice, healthy colour. If I zoom you in, you might be able to see some of that slug damage. Bear with. Because despite even my hardest efforts, those disgusting cephalopods are still able to get into the greenhouse. So there by my thumb, got a little bit of a nibble. And I thought the flower spike was going to abort, but for some reason it's carried on growing. So have some hopes for that. I think it's going to look quite pretty, this orchid. I seem to remember it being quite heavily scented as well when it did have flowers on it. So that's the no ID Brassia. Here's the no ID Oncidium from its worst. This is its worst side. It doesn't like to be seen from this side. It prefers to be seen from this side here, where it can kind of hang over itself and not look quite so sorry for itself. But if I turn it on its side here, you should be able to see, especially if I zoom in and hold it in the light so that it's actually illuminated. We can see those 2 new growths. One here. There's that guy there. There's another one just here as well. And although it's not apparent at the moment, there are actually another couple of growths emerging from the crown of the actual orchid. So we might be see some more growth on this guy yet. Okay, so there we go. Varying degrees of success on those orchids, I'm afraid. Some doing better than others. Okay, so on another note, here is my Epidendrum porpax in flower. Look at the state of this. Loads and loads and loads of flowers. This thing's just absolutely covered itself with these very pretty little flowers. If I can hold it still enough. It's actually a very small orchid. It's kind of tricky to hold it still enough. But it's got this sort of like rich red shiny lip, this glossy green foliage, and just a profusion of flowers. It looks absolutely stunning. Now this thing kind of sulked for ages after I repotted it, but recently it's really put on a real good show for me. So I'm really happy with that. It has no discernible smell to speak of, and not, I would say, the most remarkable flowers, but it's obviously very floriferous when it does flower. So there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this little update. I've really enjoyed it. I think we've seen some cool stuff. I'm really happy with my Epidendrum. It looks wicked at the moment. I just wish it, no, I still can't smell it. I just wish it smelt, because I think that would that'd be really awesome. I think there's Epidendrum peperomia, which is supposed to smell and has a very noticeable, I'm assuming, peppery scent. I'd like one of those. So it's nearly Christmas. In fact, actually tomorrow it's my birthday, so I'm going to be 30, or am I? No, I'm going to be 33 years old tomorrow, so that's my birthday tomorrow. So by the time this is up, it'll probably be my birthday daytime. So here's to you, here's to me, and thanks for watching, and make sure you tune in for another episode of Oliver's Greenhouse. Thanks for watching.